Good morning, everybody. I am back from Houston. I survived H-Town. Didn't get carjacked. Nothing crazy happened. No floods or anything like that in Houston, but was there yesterday for the Touchdown Club of Houston, talking to Steve Sarkeesian as he addressed a bunch of Longhorn fans for what I believe might be one of his only tour stops during the offseason. Back in the seat with Alex Dunlap. We've got a lot of stuff to get to. Breaking news, of course, we got to get to as well. But Alex, just want to, greet you and say how you doing this morning.
How are you doing, sir? On a rainy, foggy, misty morning that we should enjoy before we get into the dog days of summer here, man. Enjoy a little bit of a little bit of wet weather coming through. Yeah, a lot to get to. So you were there in Houston, seeing Sarkeesian at the Touchdown Club. We got to talk about that. Dominic Williams, catch him as an update from him this morning over on the site. I don't know if that's something that we just like. That wasn't sort of in the show sheet or whatever, but I think we probably need to address it. And then also, I've got some buy or sell questions for you that we're going to go over. Everything from I have to ask your opinion about a topic that came up yesterday with Jason and Cody, which was TSA pre-check. So we'll talk about that.
I love that.
But also a whole lot of Texas Longhorns buy or sell. So get to all of it. I don't know. I don't know, brother. Do you want to start with the stuff about Sark defending his DBs? Do you want to talk about?
No, we got. Let's start with the news of the day. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and stir it up this morning. I'm going to do it. Sorry, catch.
Fight! Get over here! Finish
I stole it. I saw no copyright on it. I stole it, but there's a portal update. I know he don't typically does it for the noon show, but the hell with it. Portal combat. Jeff Ketchum has an update this morning on Orange Bloods. I know he'll talk a little bit more about it today, but it's breaking news, so we can't wait until noon to have the conversation about things that we have on our website. And basically, it revolves around Dominic Williams. And I think you and I were kind of on the same page about this conversation a little bit earlier this week, Alex, where I think you and I were kind of a little bit pessimistic about that whole thing. And I think you and I can kind of start sniffing out that this thing sounds like it's going to be about money. Doesn't sound like Texas is going to be too involved. LSU visit late, all these kind of things. And it doesn't look like things are adding up as far as Texas and Williams is concerned.
Yeah. So, I mean, what sort of stuck out to me is that I want to make sure that, Ketch will have his reporting on his show. Of course, Ketchum's back, by the way. He's back. He got his he got both his internet and his power up at his new crib. So you guys will be able to see Ketch's new fits a little bit later today. But apparently, from what Ketch is hearing, that Texas doesn't. It feels like Texas is a little bit out of this thing because Dominic Williams is asking for what he described as an incredible NIL package. And so look, Anwar, and dude, this will kind of go into one of this. Incredible is a funny way to put it.
Incredible, it makes me wonder what that number looks like.
It's like he tells the Texas staff that he's asking for that much, and they go, "That's incredible." It's like
yes.
But like the context that I take from this, and maybe Ketch will have more to say, right? And maybe in that thread he's kind of answered this question about what does incredible mean. But let's take this as the context. Whenever and this is going to get rid of one of my buy or sell questions if we bring this up now. But I did have a buy or sell question, which was, is Dominic Williams worth a $1 million NIL package? And whenever you think about this, because Ketchum before had said that's what you're going to have to pay him $1 million. You have to give this guy $1 million. And now Ketchum's acting like this is even more incredible and more higher than what they originally expected. And Ketchum originally had a source saying this thing might go to $1 million, and now he's saying that blows everything out of the. He's asking for more than $1 million. Is what reading between the lines we can take whatever circuitous route we want to get there or to figure it out. And Ketch hasn't reported this, at least not that I know of, but. Taking it from guys like us that interact with Ketchum, and we've heard what he's said about this stuff, and we knew that the 1 million was the previous thing that the NIL guys were probably not going to get up to, but that's what they were expecting. For him to say that this is some shocking new revelation, it means that this dude is, gosh. I mean, look, and I can't say that I disrespect the hustle. I mean, it's fine, but it's his money, his business, whatever. I stay out of that, as far as other people are concerned, man. That's their business, and I can respect the hustle, but he's not worth it, And I think that's probably where Texas is at here. I'll be interested to see if any of these other schools can, or what it is he's asking for one, and then if any of these other schools are able to make it happen.
I mean, look, in life, you're worth what people are willing to pay for, right? So,
dude, look at this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. On War, is this true? Catch said the number starts with a 2. That can't be right. All right, Money B, I got to go check on that. Maybe he said that in the chat. I'm
he
sorry.
Probably said it in the chat. I don't think he said it in the update. He probably said it somewhere in the chat.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, brother. I just saw that.
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe they're asking for 2 and hoping to get 1.5 or something like that. Maybe they feel like there's an art of negotiation. Maybe they've read some books or something, some books on tapes on how to negotiate. But I'm sorry. I just have to say, if you were worth $2 million, you'd be in the NFL right now. If you're that good, you'd be in the NFL, because the NFL people would have said you are a high draft pick. It ain't worth that. You're not worth that. Not some guy from TCU. No. Now I get it. I get asking. You ask for what you ask for the world. That's what you're supposed to do. I get it. Like, they're like, man, let's see if anyone's crazy enough to pay this thing, and maybe they'll settle for whatever the highest bid is. But if you're Texas, you're like, man, I don't know if you're that good. Like, you're not. I don't even know if that kid from USC would have been worth all that. Like the Bear Alexander kid, like, would he have been worth $2 million, Alex?
I mean, look, it's not my money, and so with Bear Alexander, I'd say go ahead and do it, right? I mean, clear. I don't know. It just seems like it starts to onward. It feels like there's an amount where it just starts to be. If you think about the fact, and I know people hate thinking about it like this, but if you just think about it like, well, Texas has whatever between 11, 13 million, the NIL money from the Texas One Fund and all this other stuff that they have to deal with every year. And so if I'm just thinking about it from that kind of standpoint, and I'm trying to think about how to best manage it, it feels like that's probably too much of, too big an allocation of your salary cap to give to one dude. Now it is at a position where you figure if you can get that one right and get that one to be an awesome player, there's something to be paid for, I guess, and and being able to put your team in position to really put them over the top, right? To say like, all right, we're good at every position right now. So I think that there's a premium to be paid there, but it just starts to, man, this stuff, $2 million, and I don't know. Look. If they did it for Bear Alexander, I would have said, okay, fine. I hope you can deal with the inner locker room dynamics of this and the whole meta that's going to come along with this. That you're getting paid to do that. I'm not. Hopefully you can do it and you know what you're doing. But fine, do it. If they did it for Dominic Williams, I'd go walk directly into the lake and not stop walking until I was drowned. Like I would just say this is just for it's like let's go jump off a bridge type of stuff and tie a 100-pound barbell to the bottom of your foot. I mean, it's like I see those two as being completely different. So while you're saying would I pay Bear Alexander that much, I don't know, but I know for a fact that I wouldn't walk within 10 feet of paying Dominic Williams that much.
Yeah, I mean,
I think $2 million is too much to give I just think to give a kid $2 million. Just it feels like, and maybe that's me being cheap and kind of frugal and stuff, and it isn't my money, but to me it's like $2 million. Jeez, for what 13 games of football. You know what I mean? What are you getting? 200? You're getting $250,000. Just under $250,000 a game.
I mean, you got to be a quarterback for that. To me,
yeah.
Unless you're a quarterback, like I don't see that. Like you got to be generational talent, and there's just I don't see that off of a Dominic Williams. I got to be honest with you. I got to go back. What was he first team All Big 12 last year? Like on the
I think he was. There was the thing that came up from the Rivals transfer portal saying that he was the Big 12, the All Big 12 defensive lineman of the year. And I was like, how could it be possible when they had Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat in the Big 12? I was wondering if maybe one of them was defensive player of the year, the other was defensive lineman of the. But he couldn't have been the defensive lineman of the year. But I think he was. Maybe the freshman defensive lineman of the year, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. That would have been the year before last. That might have been what they were referring to. But I do. I mean, last year he did have all conference accolades. I'm not sure if it was first team or whether that was coaches or whether that was. I get it all mixed. I can never tell if it's your cock maybe journo poll with you and your buddies, or whether it's the coaches poll as far as this all Big 12 stuff. Preseason, postseason, all the rest.
He earned honorable. Looks like he earned honorable in 2023. He started all 12 games for the Horned Frogs and finished. Oh damn it! I hate it. I just had it up here. And finished 33 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, earning honorable mention All Big 12 honors once again.
Yeah, that has $2 million written all over it.
No, yeah, that was like I don't even. That's what I was saying. Like I don't even remember
good
being
luck
in the conversation from one of the best defensive linemen in the Big 12. So yeah, honorable mention. Like if you honorable mention, like everybody who's on the first team missed out on an opportunity. If that's what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, I don't even think. And O'Shawn Mathis wanted a lot of money at one point, and at some point, that's when Texas.
I met him on War at the Combine, and he is weird. He's a weird cat, bro.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't know.
I need more.
He's just the kind of like. I'll bet you he has pet snakes. You know what I mean? This kind of dude.
Oh, that kind of weird.
Yeah, you just kind of look at him. You're just like, man, he makes your skin crawl a little bit. That guy. But yeah, it definitely has some kind of this is beginning to have that kind of vibe. At the beginning, where people were pumped up and stuff like that. By the end, you're like, man, is this guy really even that good? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. When you get asked that question, that's the question you have. It's like Alex, if you're saying to yourself, like, all right, I'm going to go out for a meal. And you realize that meal is going to cost $150 to $200, right? You got to ask yourself, is it really worth all of that? Or can I just go somewhere down the street and get something that's just as comparable and I feel just as good about the meal, right? You have to question it.
Or I got some ham and turkey and a loaf of bread here at the house. I'm saying. You got
Freebirds down the street because you like Freebirds, right? I mean,
I wish I had a Freebirds closer.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, look, I mean, what if they get him? I mean, if they like I always say, it isn't my money. So you do what you want to do. I think it would be insane. It would be insane to make this guy the single biggest catch as far as your NIL stuff in your whole program. And it's this dude. I mean, please.
Yeah, I think Texas has this thing where Alice, they're not willing to really set a bar and be that team that's just going to overspend just for the sake of overspending because of the precedent that it sends. Because you pay that guy that much, then the next guy who comes along, obviously you've got to now 4 or 5 years from now you're dropping $5 million on guys like that's unsustainable. So Texas will be the team that they'll go after certain guys, but they're not going to break the bank for a guy like that, and especially some guy for a 1-year deal. Who, like I said, you got a question: is he really that good? Is he that impactful? Is he that much better than Norton? You may have the specifics on that. Like positionally, like what positions are they playing on the line?
Yeah, I mean Norton's a nose. This guy plays a 3-4 defense. He plays a 3-4 defensive end, defensive tackle. I don't know what you would call it. Different teams call it different stuff, right? But he plays a 4 technique. Unless like he plays a 4, he plays head up on the tackle. And you can say, is that good? Is that bad? Like what is, like I tend to think, and this was what we talked about with Chad the other day, is that I tend to think that it's a lot easier for a guy to move to more of a 4-3 kind of base, be more of a 4-3 defensive lineman than it is to be a 3-4 defensive lineman. It's just that's just how it goes, because you just don't have to two gap as much. But he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to play nose. That's where Vernon Broughton plays. That's where Norton plays. He would have to come in and have to overtake probably Alfred Collins at the 3 technique. That's a little bit of a tougher pathway anyway. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's going to have to platoon the thing anyway. Yeah. Talking about 40. I mean, at most, even if he takes the job, if he gets the job over Collins, he's playing 49% of snaps. Like he's not even he's not even out there 50% of the time. Now that's going to be the case for any defensive lineman that comes in that's not named T'Vondre Sweat, that's not named Byron Murphy, guys who you want to push to maybe get 55, 58, something like that. More of a 60-40 split with them versus the rest of the team. None of these dudes are going to separate to the degree that Byron Murphy or T'Vondre Sweat separated, right? So they're gonna have 2 guys that are 42% or something like that. One guy that plays 10%, one guy that plays, 6%. And that's just how they're going to do it. I think that Dominic Williams would come in and he would be the number 2 defensive tackle. I think him and Alfred Collins would kind of, I just don't know. I mean, is he that much better than Tio Lee Savea?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Savea was better during the Arizona games that I watched last year than Dominic Williams was during the TCU games I watched last year from a pure numbers perspective. So I don't know. I think we're on the same page, man. It's like, look, it feels like found money now.
Well,
right?
you have to find it in someone else's pocket, right?
Yeah, man. It's just if the guy comes, like, great. If he doesn't come, I think people now sort of understand why.
Hey, Alex, I figured out some of my buy or sells I want to enter in. So how about this? Since we talk about found money and big guys and hunger and all those kind of things,
I know where this is going. We're gonna talk about it.
I just feel like it.
We're gonna talk about Texas beef traders. Hey, look, and I'll be at Texas beef traders tomorrow. Friday during my kids' jiu-jitsu class. So that'll be from, I guess, 4 to 6 p.m. So if you guys are interested in coming up there, hanging out, you guys can hang out with me and Darren and Shay. These guys are going to hook you up with some beef, and they're going to get you that beef for cheap. I mean, these new, like the New York strip steaks, the ribeyes, they're already cheaper than HEB. They're already cheaper than Randall's. And this is Ranch Direct, straight imported from Mason, Texas. I can't tell you guys how much better this stuff tastes. I can't tell you how much healthier it is. I can't tell you that how meaningful it is to know that this is all non-GMO stuff. The bovine nutritionists there on staff, the fact that they have no vaccinations, no inoculations, no cross-herd, mixing, none of this stuff, none of it. And you get the meat fresh and it tastes delicious, and you can taste it. And it's that minute when you first taste Texas beef traders, you say, my God, I've been eating beef that probably doesn't even come from, it's not local. It probably doesn't even come from America. That's how much different this tastes. Texas beef traders. Get 10% off. Tell me you heard about them here on Orange Bloods. Texas beef traders, right there in the heart of Lakeway. Texas beef traders. And look, if you can't make it to Lakeway, just call them. They'll bring it to you. Texas beef traders. All right. Anwar, you got to talk here about, there you go. Eric.
Yeah, you got to bring me back in. Eric sells homes, DFW. You're looking for a home in the DFW area. You don't have to look any further than my main man, El Presidente's got you covered for everything that you need buying or selling your home. Maybe you want to do a little bit of research and figure out what the market is. Maybe think about relocating to the DFW area. Hey, now's the perfect time to do it. Hit him up, El Presidente himself. Eric sells homes. And by the way, if you just know someone that lives out there, just pass along his information, because you just never know when people are going to try to go ahead and make a move or want to sell, downsize, all those kind of things. Eric sells homes, DFW. Let them know that your favorite unk sent you. Come on back in, Alex.
All right. Well, so we got to talk about Sark defending his DBs. I have a buy or sell question as it sort of relates to this stuff, but do you want to just kind of lay the groundwork about
well, I'll lay the groundwork for it. And so yesterday, Steve Sarkeesian spoke at the Touchdown Club of Houston. It's an annual thing where coaches throughout the state usually speak to their fan bases. So I've been covering this event since I got here. So Charlie Strong every year, Tom Herman, of course, now Steve Sarkeesian. And, you know, it's kind of like an event that gets you kind of the fans pumped up about the upcoming year.
Are fans there? Is fans there? Like,
yeah,
is the Touchdown Club like a country club, old rich dudes that kind of come around there? All the
pretty
football
much
guys?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much is what that thing ends up being. Mm-hmm. And you've nailed it exactly. It's like going out to the to that golf course in Steiner Ranch, right? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I think he did something like that the other week. So it's that kind of tour, you know, get everybody pumped up about the season stuff. Like and it says so but before that, he decides that, you know, they'll hold like a little press conference beforehand, because they also know, like, you know, the media is going to be there, so they'll go ahead and hold the press conference. So the interesting part of the press conference, and I know the chat's about to go wild, is that Kurt Bowles starts to ask a question, everyone's favorite reporter from Austin. And he started asking him how concerned he was about the secondary. And I noticed, because I went back and listened to it, Sark was about to answer the question. And then Bowles said, because they had played it bad and didn't look so good in the spring game. And then Sark caught himself at that moment before he was going to answer it, and said it basically fired back, didn't look good according to who? And then Bowles responds with, hey, well, I mean, I saw, you know, some of your cornerbacks getting beat in the spring game. And then, of course, Sark replies back, well, I saw Kelvin Banks get beat, and then he's going to be all right. And then Sark basically goes and lays into, you know, I'll read the quote here. He said, we're going to be just fine. We're going to be fine in the secondary. I think we have a lot of versatility back there. Manny Muhammad going into year 2. I'm excited about him. Jaylen Gilbo getting back into the fold from where he was in year 1, and probably a better version of him today. I'm really excited about the versatility to go along with Jahdae Barron and his versatility, which, by the way, Alex, he has mentioned Jahdae Barron's versatility, I think, pretty continuously over the last.
It's the best thing. It's the most impressive thing on his resume. That's what I talk about too, right?
Yeah, and we could break that down too, because I want to get your breakdown of that. He said Jaylen having the ability to play multiple position. Love the addition of Andrew McCuba. Love the growth of Derek Williams. He said he loves the position change for Jelani McDonald. Had his first spring at safety. So again, I would love to. In a second, I'm going to get your breakdown on all these guys. Right? Talked about the leadership of a Michael Taft. Talked about the last thing he said was Gavin Holmes. Year 2 is going to be big for him. And then here's where he closes it out. He goes, and then we got some puppies back there that are learning how to play. And just like any position, those guys need to continually get developed. So to sit here and judge a high school kid who should still be going to his high school prom over how he got beat in the spring game, I think would be rushing to judgment.
Look, I think that I wrote a whole column about this, so it's up in Orange Bloods. I put it up actually last night because I have I have so much I have a ton of work I have to get done today, but I wrote it yesterday right after I read your column. I said and I think it's okay for Kirk Bohls to ask that question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing. Texas was hot garbage last year on the back end. They were a great team, but the secondary was no good, right? They just weren't. Then I mean the numbers will back it up. I know it's the thing we don't want to say around here, and people hate anybody being critical of the team, but just the secondary wasn't good last year, and I don't know whose fault it was. I mean, Ryan Watts was hurt. Jaron Thompson and Keaton Crawford. It's like I'm not sure how much you're gonna miss him, man. Terrence Brooks was so up and down. All the rest of it, was it the coaching? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, everybody knows it. Like, you can think back. It's like, what was the pivotal moment of last season? Well, it was Michael Penix, man, dropping drone strikes on this secondary. It just was, right, and it wasn't the first time. And so you think, okay, well, let's just see what happens with the spring game. There's been some changes, right? And then in that spring game, you say, like, Sark says it didn't look good according to who? And I'm just like, well, look, I mean, according to me, I would have raised my hand if I would have been there, right? I mean, Terrence Brooks, Gavin Holmes, Wardell Mack, Xavier Filsaime, Michael Taft, and Kobe Black were all burned in coverage at least once. Terrence Brooks, Gavin Holmes, Wardell Mack, Xavier Filsaime, Michael Taft, Kobe Black were all burned once. Gavin Holmes, Jelani McDonald, and Jaylen Gilbo all had big missed tackles on the back end. So it's like, it's okay for Kirk Bohls to ask that question. I think it's also okay for Sark to get a little bit snippy with them, right? And it's not. And I wrote about this, and I don't know if I'll be able to verbalize it the same way, because what Sark sees is not what Bohls sees, right? Bohls sees bad defense last year, bad in the spring game. Is it going to be bad again? Right. That's what Bohls is asking. He's a reporter, right? He's not a football coach. He really is not a football man, right? He's an all-around sports writer that covers football. He covers baseball. It's like if there's a golf tournament here, he goes, and you know what I'm saying? He's out there. He's a journo. He's out there pounding out. He doesn't think about things like a football man. He isn't a specialist in it. And so whenever he looks at the roster, he doesn't see it the same way that Steve Sarkeesian does. And look, I'm not as somebody that focuses completely on football, I'm not worried on the eventual Manny Muhammad, Kobe Black, Derek Williams, Andrew Makuba, Michael Taft, Jade Barron, Gavin Holmes, Jaylen Gilbo. That kind of rotation, I'm not worried about that. That's better than it was last year. Right. And it's not just better. It's one of these ones where you can look at it and you could say to yourself, dude, that's something where that thing could flip pretty quick. As far as, like, Texas has had bad DB. You went over this, like the DBU. It hasn't been DBU, right?
Correct.
But think about it, dude. Over the course of the last two drafts, Texas has had 4 running backs go. 4. They had, and in these last 2 drafts, they've had the first running back off the board go. And this is going to come back to DBs, I promise. But they've had the first running back off the board the last 2 years. They've had Bijan go for first running back. They've had Jay Brooks go first running back. They've had Roschon Johnson go in the 4th round. They've had Keelan Robinson go in the 5th round. 4. There's only been 3 other teams in college football that even have multiple guys, and they've each had 2. That's Louisville. Louisville had 2, Kentucky had 2. Oh, and Alabama had 2. Jahmyr Gibbs last year, Chase McClellan this year. So Texas has doubled up anybody else as far as running backs these last 2 years, right? If it's 4 running backs the last 2 years, do you know what you have to look at as far as these running backs, 4 running backs from the University of Texas, how far back you have to go to get to it? You have the last one was Deontay Foreman that was drafted. And then before that, you got to go back to 2009 to Chris Ogbonnaya. That was like a 7th round draft pick, I think, to the Rams. And then after that, you go back to 2008 to Jamal Charles, 3rd round to the Chiefs. And then before that, you got to go back to 2005, Cedric Benson, rest in peace. 2005, 1st round to Chicago. So we go 17 years with 4 running backs and then 2 years with 4 running backs. It happens quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could be in a bad state and things happen quick. You tell me Manny Muhammad, Derek Williams, all the rest of these. This is what Sark's thinking. He's like, dude, he's like, Kirk Bowles is here chirping at me about my secondary being bad. I'm about to have 3 of these guys in one single draft pretty soon. And are they going to take their lumps? Yeah, they're probably going to take their lumps. But it's like, I've seen this thing. We've seen it with the running backs. Like we have the talent loaded up now. That's what Sark's thinking. He's thinking, Bowles, you're cocking me. You're a pot stirring journo. This is gobbledygook. And that's fine for him to think that. And it's also fine for Kirk to ask the question. These are 2 men that just don't see eye to eye. They don't see things the same way. Kirk is saying it was bad last year. It looked bad this year. And Sark's like, don't you see the roster? What do you think they're gonna come in and it's gonna be Revis Island from day one for Kobe Black?
Yeah.
Santana Wilson's not even in town yet. That guy's dad's Adrian Wilson. He grew up steeped in football knowledge. His prospect profile is impeccable. His highlight reel is disgusting. It's like, and he hasn't even stepped foot on campus yet. You got all these young guys. And Sark can't comprehend that there's a journo that doesn't see this. And Kirk Bowles can't comprehend that, like, how can you not see that this is a problem? They were so bad. So I can kind of get it. I understand this whole interaction.
I'll take it deeper than that too. I understand why coaches don't like when journalists question certain things about X's and O, because most of the times, if I'm just being honest, we don't know. And I'll give you a great story. I don't think he's in the league right now, so I think it's safe for me to tell this story right now. But it's a really good one. I looked here, and it looks like he last coached in the league in 2023. I don't know if he's still there or not. So he was linked to job. But anyway, I can say I feel like the statute of limitations is up. So I was in Tampa. And I was covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the time, and Josh Freeman was a rookie at that time. And
another man, just like I suspect with O'Shawn Mathis, but Josh Freeman, a confirmed snake pet guy. Sorry, I just had to.
Josh Freeman's there's a lot to unpack up with Josh Freeman, but that's a whole totally different story.
Okay.
So
sorry.
I was on the beat covering it, and I made a mention at one point about Josh Freeman. It was like a throwaway line in the story. And I mentioned like Josh Freeman had missed his receiver, on a specific route. No offensive coordinator at the time was a guy by the name of Greg Olson. And Greg Olson said to me, he's like, it was like a couple of weeks later, he's like, hey, I want you to come in here on the bye week, and I want to talk to you, and I want to show you something. So this is, I come in, it's like a Sunday morning. I get in like at 6:30 in the morning, something like that. There's really no one in the facility. I don't even know how many people even knew I was in the facility at that time. I bring some donuts. I stop at Dunkin' Donuts, bring some donuts, and this is what he does. So let's say he shows me a play, Alex. And let's say it's like a 5-yard out. Okay, I'll just use something simple as an example. Okay, so he shows me. Now I'm in a meeting room. Okay. And this is a younger onward. This is a younger journalist of an onward, So because Josh Freeman, like that's a long time ago, right? So he shows me how the Patriots run that play specifically. Then he showed me how the Rams ran it, like the same exact play, right? Then he shows me another one, and so he showed me all the different NFL teams and how they do that. Then he shows me how they ran that play in Wednesday's practice. He shows the film. How they do it in Thursday, Friday, then during Saturday's walkthrough, right? In the usually in a hotel, right? It's in a hotel, they're in a ballroom, and they're doing a walkthrough, right? Then he shows me what it looked like on that game day. And instead of that guy doing exactly what he was supposed to do to peel out, he actually went straight. And so Josh Freeman goes and throws, and it looks like it was bad on Freeman, but it actually wasn't that. But then there's a criticism because you think, oh, well, that person did something wrong. He proceeds to show me this offers several different things, right? Same exact breakdown, how other NFL teams do it, how they ran it during the week, and then how it happened on Sunday. And it was that point I realized, like, sometimes if you start criticizing a little bit of the X's and O's as relates to the football thing and this and that, if you don't know what the play call is, it makes it really hard. Now, you played so you can understand how plays are supposed to develop, right?
Not always.
But the average person doesn't. So I understand why coaches, that was a huge learning lesson for me very early on. I understand why coaches then, when a guy like Bowlesby asks a question, if you don't understand the specifics, especially for a spring game, and how, like every guy from on the team caught a pass, right? So, but if you don't understand the specifics, then I can see why Sark would get upset at that thing. And so, anyway, I understand both sides of it, but I definitely understand the coaching side.
Greg Olson with that slick back hair. Did he have it back then?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ole. That's my dude. Ole's my dude, by the way. Ole is my guy.
I was gonna say, man, I'll bet you took that as a good opportunity to kind of help develop that guy as a not a source, or just develop him as a kind of contact.
Because but in the NFL, Alex, you can interview coordinators after games.
Yeah, you're around them a lot more often.
It wasn't necessarily like you could interview them during the week and you interview them at the game. So it's not like here per se in college where you probably need a lot more sources because you don't have access to those guys. You have access to them all throughout the week and after games. So you actually are able to get way more information that way. So I didn't need him as a source, but it was a sign of respect, but it was a learning lesson. It was a huge learning lesson.
And I get it. Totally get it. But here's the thing. In this one case, the journo, Kirk, it doesn't, it's like, I don't have to know if this thing was quarters or cover three or what was happening on the, I saw dudes getting burned, and I saw Arch Manning look like John Elway, and Trey Owens look like the next, Drew Bledsoe or just whatever. Sark can have that kind of, indignation towards the media and stuff like that. I'd say in this case, it's probably a little misplaced. He could have explained the whys and the hows of what happened. But what he did, which I think is fine for him to do, is just lean on the fact that the personnel is good. It's going to be good. And one day, no matter what, somebody like Kirk Bowles making that kind of question, he can kind of point back at that and say, like, well, that was bad. Him even questioning me at that point was bad, even though it's not bad.
Well, I will say this.
Right.
There's a couple of things. I'll say this, and I have a question for you. Actually, I have a couple of questions for you. But you sometimes that might mean that the coach really don't like a person. And then sometimes it takes it's like a relationship. If you don't like somebody, they can ask you like the littlest of things, and you're just like get set off. Like, it's just because I don't like your ass, right? And so there is a possibility. I don't know their relationship, but there is a possibility that there's a little bit, that or they're just masking a hell of a friendship. But I do have a question for you as relates to that. So when he started talking about that, I'm curious from you. He started to. There's two things that I wanted to ask you about. One, when he starts to talk about the versatility of Jahdae Barron, can you explain like the multiple positions that Jahdae has played last year or is playing this year, and what makes that so valuable? And the second thing I would like to get from you is Jelani McDonald. We've heard a lot about him this spring. I'm curious, like your observations from him at the safety position and what you thought of him back there, and maybe how he fits in.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so with Barron, he could play. He could even play safety, but Texas doesn't need him to, and that would be the best way to utilize his skill set. He plays the nickel, the star position for Texas, nickel corner. That's you guard in coverage. You go against usually, slot guys, number 2 and number 3 wide receivers. You count wide receivers on defense from the outside in. So number 1 is the farthest out, and number 2 is usually the slot. 3 is usually a running back coming out to the flats, but sometimes you'll have trips to one side. So they're against number 2, number 3 wide receivers in the seam versus option routes. You got to be really quick. You got to have really good lateral agility, good balance, good change of direction, because these shifty, you guys know about the slot wide receivers. You can just think about the average slot guy that you see in the NFL, right? Even, with the different ways they use them now, you still get these crafty, like, Julian Edelman type of dudes you go up against, right? And when they have an option route, that means when they get up to you to their route's transition point, they have a two-way go, so they can see which way you're leveraged, which way you're shaded, and they can break off to the other way and stuff like that. They have the option, and the quarterback knows that they have that option. So you have to be really quick on your toes for that kind of stuff. You also have to be hard-nosed, man, to be able to line up on the line of scrimmage, come hard off the edge, play in the box, be good in run support. It's a really, like, to play nickel, you have to be a versatile player, right? As far as the skill set that you bring, I think Sark means not, he's versatile in that way, but also, he has the versatility to play outside corner too. Like he can be. There were times last season whenever I think Kansas State down the stretch last year, whenever they were having some injuries in the secondary, and they just weren't bringing some of these dudes back that had kind of gone out earlier with being dinged up. They moved Michael Taft down to nickel, and they told Jade Barron just to handle the outside, and so that gave me the idea that they thought that he was one of their best cover corners, even on the outside. So that's what Jade Barron brings. And then Jelani McDonald, man, last year he played nickel, so he was just buried, right? But Jade Barron last year, I mean, Michael Taft played some nickel last year. Austin Jordan was hurt for a lot of the year, but he played nickel. Jaylen Gilbo working his way back from the 2022 knee thing, but he played nickel. It's just, I was always like, man, when's Jelani McDonald going to play? But this year they moved him to safety. He's working with the second group. And dude, working with that second group, it hadn't been like it's been scrubs during the spring. That second group is Jelani McDonald and Andrew Makuba. I mean, they all look like guys you can play. Jelani McDonald, what you love about him is just, the how big he is and how long he is. And I dare anybody to look at that guy and tell me that you don't even get me started on what he looks like as far as an NFL prospect. We're going to be talking about him in that way. Like I said, Sark knows this thing with the DBs. This thing's going to come, and it's going to happen kind of like the running back things did. Like I said in my column, it's like in The Sun Also Rises. Whenever Ernest Hemingway's character is like, they ask, I forget his name in the book, but some dude asked him how he went bankrupt, and he goes 2 ways: gradually, then suddenly. Right. And it's kind of like
That's good.
These things are good. These things are real gradual until they become real sudden real quick. And I think Sark knows that things are going to be popping off real suddenly around here with some of these DBs. Guys like Jelani McDonald are the exact reason why he can play safety. He can play nickel. We've watched him in San Antonio at the All-Star game whenever he was a senior in high school. And he's out there shutting down the best wide receivers in the whole country, playing outside corner, turning and running with them, getting in their hip pockets, going up and high pointing footballs, playing offense on the defensive side of the football. And I'm just like, that's the biggest corner I've ever seen. And Cole Patterson that was there at the time, it's like, oh no, he's not really a corner. Like he's like a linebacker, safety type. I'm just like, that guy is, and he's like, yeah, and he's probably going to Texas. And I go, that guy is, I'd never heard of Jelani McDonald. That thing kind of flipped a little bit late, right? As far as whenever he committed. But yeah, dude, I've been really impressed with him the entire time he's been here. And like I mentioned, he's one of these dudes. When you think of I think of him right off the top of my tongue, or right off the top of my tongue. His name's at the top.
Tip of my tongue.
Right on the tip of my tongue when I think about these dudes that we're going to see, they're at the NFL Combine sooner than later. I mean, it's going to be Manny Muhammad. It's going to be Derek Williams. It's going to be Kobe Black. It's going to be Jelani McDonald. It's going to be this kind of dude. So it's the kind of, like, of course, Sark, whenever he's feeling defensive about his DBs, are going to point to those kinds of players and talk about the improvements that they've made.
And the other guy, Alex, that he's talked a lot about this spring has been Jaylen Gilbo. And he's mentioned that guy a lot. And he's mentioned him multiple times. He said it yesterday again, that he's back to where he once was and said probably a better version of him today. Alex, this was a Jaylen Gilbo that I think was beating out Jade Barron up until the injury. So can you take us back into the time machine for those who may have not recall Jaylen Gilbo and what he once was? When Sark is so hype on this guy, what was he? What was he? Because if he's a better version of that, that's another reason why Sark may be thinking to himself, these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. Man, this guy's better than he was, but what was he at that time?
Let me see. So when was his freshman year in 2021?
Let's see. I think that's right. Let me look right quick though. Let me look real quick. I got you because I think he's a third year guy. So 2022.
Yeah, I was wondering why Gilbo's not in this 2021 deal. So he was only coming back from. Okay, so 2020. Okay, yeah. My bad. I mean, I'm getting years mixed up. I'm getting too old, man. Okay, so 2022, Gilbo. So he only played 205 snaps that season. Let's see here. And what it was is he came back from getting. I just remember. I wish I would have known you were going to ask me about him because I could have looked back. But I seem to remember at the beginning of that season was when he came in hot versus the UL in the ULM game, and he just came in where he showed us in that first, he came in. Okay, Jaylen Gilbo came into college and made a giant impression in his first game. Because in that game he had one assisted tackle. He had one quarterback hit, two pressures, one giant blow up on the one time that he was thrown against in that game. So he comes in, plays as many snaps as Jade Barron, an even number of snaps in that game. It looks like Jaylen Gilbo played only 3 snaps less than him. Jade Barron generates no production in that game. Jaylen Gilbo has an assisted tackle, one quarterback hit, 2 separate quarterback pressures, 1 blow up on the one time that he was targeted. So after that, I guess they went to play Alabama next, and that was a game where we saw. Let's see, did he play in that one? So that game, it looks like he only played about 1/4 of the snaps, generated no production, whereas Jade Barron played 3. So we saw in that game that the staff liked Jaylen Gilbo, but trusted Jade Barron even more. Jade Barron has a good game versus Alabama, 2 tackles, 2 assisted tackles. He was also in on a tackle for a loss in that game. Like I said, played 3/4 of the snaps. The trust sort of goes back to him. And then I think through the course of the season, we just saw Gilbo pop off a little bit sort of
what
here
is
and
Oklahoma State? Didn't he pop off in the Oklahoma State game?
Let me look and see. Oklahoma State in 2022?
Uh-huh.
OSU. Oh, God, yes, he did. Quarterback hit, a total of 5 total tackles, 2 PBUs, thrown at 3 times, only allowed 1 completion in that football. Yeah, he had a great game versus those guys.
Yeah.
So
I think he got hurt not too long after that, if I'm correct. So yeah. I think Oklahoma State was kind of his big game that year.
I think that, yeah. So, I mean, Gilbo, we were writing articles about how Gilbo's next. It's like that's what was going on with Jaylen Gilbo. And so, like you mentioned, Anwar, if we're getting to the point where we're talking about him being back to where he was before, he'll be part of the rotation. I'm going to be interested to see, man. Now that Terrence Brooks is gone, I don't think they moved Jade Barron to outside corner. I just think that for one, I think that they'll probably continue to look in the portal, right, for these guys. The San Diego State guy, if you just look at his PFF stuff, it's like, I know PFF is cockamamie, but some of the stats they take are just objective stats. It's the subjective stuff I hate the most from him. And he looks like he's probably a pretty good player. I think they're probably gonna need to just see if they can speed up the process with Kobe Black. Warren Roberson looks like he's pretty darn capable guy, but I think this just means with Terrence Brooks, it probably means more Gavin Holmes to start out, and him being a kind of heavier piece of the rotation. But could Jade Barron move over there? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's the way you get Gilbo on the field, right?
Yeah.
If you don't want Barron off the field and you want Gilbo on the field, that's what you need to do, because Gilbo can't play outside. Barron can play outside. So I'll be interested to see how all of that goes. It was a weird sort of a weird like spoke in the tire, or what is it? Something thrown in the spoke. I'm not good at these things. You throw
I don't know. I know the monkey wrench thing. I don't know.
Throw a wrench in the spoke or something. I don't know.
The hard part about all those sayings, Alex, is that like nowadays they end up being politically incorrect because like the spoke indicates something. Or if I was like monkey in a wrench,
no, it's like the spoke is like throwing a wrench in the colonialist.
So it's like I get nervous about saying old sayings because then I'm like, oh snap, I can't say that anymore. That got canceled too. Shit.
Yeah. Okay, like you can't say.
Don't go down that route. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Plenty of ways to skin a cat. Is that still?
I don't even know. Like,
I think Peter might come after you for that one.
I don't know.
Okay, so I think that the whole thing about Terrence Brooks is sort of threw a wrench in things, because it would have been neat to be able to see through spring football how they live without Terrence Brooks, right?
Yeah.
Well, what we ended up getting was a whole spring where it looked like Terrence Brooks was going to be a kind of big part of stuff. Then Terrence Brooks, as expected, does not look good in the spring game, and Terrence Brooks leaves and goes elsewhere. It looks like, I guess, UTSA has been the word, and now and I guess it's good for us because it gives us something to talk about. But we're left with a summer of speculation as to what could happen in his absence.
Yeah. Alex, I know we're getting up against it. You said you had something buy or sell related. We can save that for tomorrow, but did you have one question that you said you wanted to get in today?
Let's save buy or sell for tomorrow. We've already got through a show. Look at us.
Okay.
Look at us. We've done it. Let's just now we have a show in the can for tomorrow. We got all the buy or sells, man. The people love buy or sell on war. So
they do.
Yeah, man. So
I got a good one. I just out of curiosity, one of mine. I'm not going to tell you what my question is, but I want to make sure I can ask it. Did you ever watch The Karate Kid?
Oh, yes, dude. Come on. I'm not that insulated from proper society.
I mean, I don't know, Alex. I mean, there's no telling what is or isn't allowed in your bunker over there. With your pork and beans and all that other kind of stuff you have. So, all right.
No pork and beans allowed.
Yeah. I got one that's related to that one tomorrow. I just want to make sure I can ask it.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that processed kind of food here in the bunker.
Guys, remember what I always say: live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be. The War Room will be out tonight, so make sure you guys check that out. House Divided at noon, and I think there's a modcast at 4. I don't know. I've got practice and stuff, so those other guys that hold it down. But that's it for me. I'll see you tomorrow. Alex, I'll let you close.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much to everybody for being here. Thanks to Specs for bringing us the Specs chat line, having all you guys here in the chat. Almost 600 of you as we end the show here. Of course, make sure to stick around for House Divided. Catch is back. Catch is back. So House Divided coming up at noon here Central Time with Catch and Chad. And then, yes, as Anwar mentioned, we have, as far as I know, we're doing the modcast. Whether that's me, Jason, and Catch, somebody else besides Anwar, as he'll be taking care of his family obligations, is yet to be seen, but should have plenty.
I got kids and I got practices every damn afternoon, man. Like they're just if it's an afternoon, I'm at a soccer practice, a flag football practice. I got practice.
Yeah, man. I know how it. I know just how that goes. So yeah. But I know that the chat they will be back here tomorrow, joining us, and just throughout the course of the day. We can't thank you enough, guys. Hope you go out today. You have a great day. Do something good. Do something good for yourself. Do something good for others. Go do something big today, man. For Anwar, I'm Alex. We'll see you guys